have made the trek all the way out to Bishopville to hang out with Crystal. This is Crystal Arentz. She is, her and her family have been active part of Bethel Worship Center for a while now. Crystal is currently serving and helping in Unashamed Youth Ministry, doing some stuff there. Her husband Joe helps us in our ushers. I am out here today where Crystal works at McCoy. And why don't you tell us a little bit about McCoy Nursing Home? How many patients you guys have, your role here, what you do?
Well, we're a long-term care facility here in Bishopville, and we also do short-term rehab. We have, at full capacity, 120 residents. I've been nursing here for over 20 years, and I'm currently one of 2 unit managers here.
Maybe you remember, back in, I guess it was either March or April, we did a Facebook, one of our midweek Facebooks that we were doing. I did a conversation with Crystal, with Allison, with Hannah. Wanted to get back with you and just talk about how did COVID impact things going on here at McCoy. How did it affect you guys?
Well, it definitely made things more stressful. You know, we follow very strict guidelines and things are drilled into our heads, but with COVID, all that changed, and the guidelines were constantly changing, so we had to be flexible, we had to adapt quickly. The hours were longer, the work was harder. There was just a humbling that we didn't realize would be possible. You know, when all this came about, we had a game plan, and you know, we thought we had it all figured out, that you know, maybe we could come through this thing unscathed. Maybe we could protect our residents and come out with 0 cases of COVID. And you know, it didn't take us long to realize that we're not in control. God's in control. You know, you can have your game plan, but He's calling the shots.
Yeah.
As far as the patients and what we saw with them, I'd probably say the biggest thing was fear when it all came about. You know, they saw sickness like they had never seen before, and they lost roommates, they lost friends. Our residents just aren't patients in a facility, they're our family. Yeah. And so the loss was devastating for us. Months later, we had employees just breaking down into tears, saying, you know, I can't do that again, I can't go through that again. And beyond that, I would have to say loneliness. The quarantine just kind of shut out all of their family members, and the isolation itself, you know, it took their people contact away. Yeah. They didn't have the interaction with the other residents like they had before. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys did a great job. We talked about that some, but you guys did a great job trying to keep their energy, their spirits up, keep joy around them. And I know we saw you guys doing worship within the facility. You know, how did that help?
I would have to say that it picked up their spirits. You know, just the interaction, the contact makes a big deal, but we found that music is a big deal in and of itself. But then when you bring worship and praise into it, it gives them hope. It restored hope, and it did for us, and it did for them as well. Right.
How have you seen God working?
I think that during this time, most of all, we were used as witnesses of God's faithfulness. You know, like I said, when this thing came through, we saw the destruction that came with it. But despite that feeling of helplessness, we remained faithful. Yeah. And we continued to praise, like you said. We continued to pray. We worshiped. And we held true to, we held on to the promises of Galatians 6:9, and we didn't give up, and we just kept doing what was right. And I believe that God's faithfulness showed through in all that. You know, we had a lot of employees sick, but they all recovered, and with that, we never, our residents didn't go without care. We never had to call in an agency to provide any care. And I believe that God placed a hedge of protection around us to provide for our residents.
That's awesome. Well, I know you guys are doing an amazing job to continue to love and care for these families, these patients whose families might not be able to be there with them. You are an extended family to them right now. So we appreciate all that you're doing. We're praying for you. I know there's a community of people praying for you guys, and I appreciate you just taking a little bit of your lunch break today just to talk to me for a minute so everybody can hear, you know, what God's been doing here at McCoy.
Thank you.